Hello once again. In this position, white is required to deliver checkmate in 3 moves. There is one line that extends it to 4 moves, and I'll go into that. What white and many would like to be able to do here is to take advantage of what is known as the Plachutta theme, which is placing a piece where it interferes with the coordination and cooperation of 2 of the opponent's pieces. The move in question here is to play here, where it prevents black from controlling this pawn any longer, so white will be able to play rook f3 mate. Similarly, the queen covering here, it would now be rook a6 mate, in both cases if it were white's move. Now, if in this position black were to take with the queen or the bishop, taking with the knight would be self-defeating because he'd simply be blocking and it would be an immediate mate. But to take with either the bishop or the queen, it would work for white. Check that out for yourselves. However, what doesn't work for white and does for black is black's own Plachutta there interfering with the rooks. So that rules that out. Now, should white try to prepare knight b7 with this move, where he's planning on playing bishop to c5 mate, black thwarts him by playing here. White then plays here, and black can play the Plachutta again and interfere with those rooks. Interestingly, after this, he doesn't need to play the Plachutta. Where this didn't work for black on the first line, it does on this, and check that out for yourselves. Principally because there are flight squares floating around that black can take advantage of quite well indeed. So just put all of that back, and we need to find an alternative strategy here. Can you see, looking at that position, what white might have, not down here or here, but just all of this, from the knight, the 2 bishops, and back around into the corner? Can you see anything that might be happening here that would give white a significant advantage over black? Well, if we vacate this square and at the same time can cover this b3, then knight on a to c4 will be checkmate. So that is our plan. And in order to achieve that, of course, we need to move that bishop. Where do we move it? Well, let's rule out where we shouldn't move it. Moving it down here would be no good because we're not controlling b3. Moving it this way is open to the objection that black can capture it on any of those squares. In addition, to move it anywhere down here, should white try to checkmate, then he's self-blocking and black has king b3. So by process of elimination in this starting position, it must be either bishop b3 or bishop a2. Which one is it? Well, to be sure, to play bishop b3, white is threatening this. No question about that. He's not threatening this because white's bishop is hanging. So, having pointed that out in relation to bishop b3, would you say that it is bishop b3? Or would you go with bishop a2? It's a 2-to-1 job. Well, go with bishop a2 because that is the move. The advantage here is that white's king controls a2, covering the bishop, and the bishop controls b3. It's not hanging there at any stage. That is the disadvantage with bishop b3. And I'll show that at the end of this video. So how does black respond to this? Well, he has 3 lines. He can go here. He has to cover c4 to prevent knight on a to c4. We have an interesting resource here. We can play rook f3 check. The idea of this is to divert the bishop away from protecting c4, and then we achieve our objective with knight on a to c4 checkmate. He's not forced to take the rook. He can instead interpose the bishop. And what we do is we take it off, and that is checkmate. So the bishop going to d5 doesn't work. And the bishop going to d5, it would have to go to there again in this line where black protects c4, but white removes the queen, and then the only way of continuing here is by playing bishop to d5, which we have just shown does not work. So what is the final move here for Blake? Well, it's to play his queen here, covering c4, and in doing so, though, he has ceded protection of this pawn. So our reply to that is to play here. And we are threatening knight on a to c4, double check and mate. There's no adequate reply to that. The best of a bad bunch really is to come here and then we play there. It's not double check, his queen is pinned, and there is no way that he can avoid having to say, you are the winner. It's as simple as that. Now, let's just have a look at bishop b3 and see for sure why it fails. It's more or less an identical line, as a matter of fact, as you will see. That is the starting position. So we play bishop b3 instead of bishop a2, and like I said, it's more or less the same. The queen comes here, covering c4, against this time, not against that, because the bishop's hanging. So Black loses his pawn here in the same way that he did in the other variation. And now what do? Well, Black plays exactly the same way. He goes here. And now, how can we mate on the next move? Well, I'm afraid we can't, because if you try doing it like this, like I say, this bishop is unprotected and Black can play king b3. No mate. Equally, if he comes here, although the bishop is protected and the king can't move anywhere, queen takes the knight on c4. And that is why in this position, bishop b3 is not to be recommended, but bishop a2 certainly wins to a maximum of 4 moves. I hope you enjoyed that. Keep on watching. It's my pleasure to bring these problems to you and share ideas with you. Enjoy your chess, and goodbye for now.